Hi Dean, here's your Unit 4 test. I wanted to just go over a few little things with you on it. Question 1 looks good, question 2 is great. I've just added in here, and I think it maybe got cut off at the end over here, just the possible extra step. It's not required, but it's a good idea, especially if you need to take a second derivative later on. To factor out a common factor of 2x, because that divides into both of the leading coefficients here, and write it in factored form, which is considered more simplified than what you've got. Okay, but it's not wrong, it's just a suggestion. Question 3 looks good. Question 4, a little bit of problems there though. When you have something given as a quotient, then you need to use the quotient rule on it, which is the u prime v minus v prime u over v squared. And so I've written it out for you, what that should look like, and you need to practice that and make sure that you're able to do that, okay? Question 5, same thing with derivatives of ln. In general terms, the derivative of ln x is 1 over x. But if the function that you're given is ln of 5x plus 1, then that x is going to get replaced with 5x plus 1. And then we've got a chain rule because the function 5x plus 1 has its own derivative of 5. And so you would write that as 5 over 5x plus 1. Number 6 is correct. Those ones follow the same format all the time with the exponential derivatives. So ln a times a to the x is the general form of that. And 7 is good. That's an exponential e to the x with a chain rule thrown in because it's e to the 2x, and you handled that perfectly. Now let's just have a look at number 8 together. I'm not going to go through the whole correction with you. I'm just going to explain to you what we're looking for there, and hopefully you'll be able to go back and practice that. And if you want to give it another try and send it in to me, I'll check it over for you. You're being asked to sketch this exponential function, and in order to do that, the whole sort of application of derivatives idea behind the question that you're given for the curve sketching is that you're using all of the derivative rules and everything that you've learned about what derivatives tell us to sketch this graph. So I don't see evidence of that, unfortunately, in the answer that you provided. You've given some points here, but you haven't shown where they came from. I need to see your first derivative, your second derivative, so your tests for max and min, your tests for concave up and concave down, that's your POI, concave up, concave down. I need to see how you arrived at a horizontal asymptote of y equals 0, and I also need to see you test the limit as x approaches a large value like 10 of the function, which I think is ex to the x minus the asymptote, and see whether or not that's going to be positive or negative. In this case, you're going to get positive. Don't care about what the value actually is, but it just tells us that the curve will be above the asymptote. And if you use negative 10, you're going to get a negative value, and that tells you that the curve is below the asymptote for all small values of x. And that helps you to determine what your graph is going to look like. And if you check back up with the graph that you drew and submitted, then that's not showing here. That's not reflected in your graph. So I need for you to really analyze this using all the tests that you have, x and y intercepts, first and second derivatives, POIs, asymptotes, any other critical points, all that kind of stuff. It all has to be included, and this is a large question because there's multiple steps involved. So your curve sketching questions are always worth quite a number of marks. The other thing that you need to consider is that you've got a midterm exam coming up for up to Unit 4, and I need for you to do that next. I noticed that you've handed in the first vectors assignment, and that's fine. So the midterm exam is based only on the calculus section of the course. You can write it whenever you want, you just have to let me know and I'll open it up for a 2-hour period of time. And the structure of the exam is that it's divided up into 4 units, and the questions are grouped accordingly. So Unit 1, Unit 2, Unit 3, and so on. Obviously, Unit 4, there's going to be curve sketching as part of the application for all of those derivative units, except for the first one with the definition, finding first principles. So if you need help with this before you attempt the exam, please let me know. You don't need a proctor for it. You've got one more assignment to go for the vectors in Unit 6, and then we have a final exam. I know you're hoping to finish by the 23rd, so we're coming up to the finish line here. And the final exam is going to be proctored, and it will just be on the vectors portion of the course. All right, please email me if you have any questions about that. Thanks.